Welcome, awesome admins, to our webinar, Your Lightning Game Plan in 3 Steps. So today, we're going to talk about the 3 steps to go through your Lightning launch plan. My name is Leanne Templeman, and I'm your Senior Admin Evangelist. I'm joined by our awesome Director of Product Management for Lightning, Jean-Baptiste. Good morning, Jean-Baptiste. So happy to have you here. So this wouldn't be a Salesforce webinar without our trusty forward-looking statement slide. And since we are talking about some exciting future roadmap for Lightning, we ask that you make all purchasing decisions regarding Salesforce based on currently available technology. We love social, and we love hearing from you, our awesome admin community. So please follow us on Twitter at Salesforce Admins. Remember, there's no I in admins. Use the hashtag AwesomeAdmin when you're talking about all things Salesforce admin. We can also be found on Facebook and YouTube. And don't worry if you have friends you want to share this webinar with, because this webinar is being recorded. It'll be posted to both our YouTube page as well as our webinar recap page, which is the same URL that you used to register. So today So we do get questions during our webinars, and we love hearing those questions from you. So make sure to open up in another tab our admin webinar group for Q&A. This can be found at Salesforce Admin Webinars in the Success community. And don't wait till the end to ask your question. We have people on hand this entire webinar to start answering those questions, and time provided, we're going to do some live Q&A at the end and select some of those questions to address on air. So today we're going to talk about why Lightning is a meaningful step for your company and how you can provide that direction to your organization. We're going to touch on how to best prepare for Lightning, what hands-on resources and tools are available today to get you ready for Lightning, and how to make your Lightning rollout a success with a pilot plan, feedback loop, and adoption insight. So why is Lightning a meaningful step for you, admins, and for your company? Well, admins, if you're on this webinar, you've likely seen the power of Lightning. Lightning brings a lot for us admins, customizing with clicks, end-user feature requests being delivered in the new UI, and access to the newest and greatest Salesforce features. But what about the benefits to your end users? Lightning comes with the newest productivity features your end users will love: inline editing on list views, Kanban to visualize their data, analytics everywhere with report chart components, and an updated look and feel and intuitive UI that was built incorporating our customer feedback. And your stakeholders win with Lightning as well. In Lightning, you can provide enhanced analytics to your decision makers and ensure all your sales users are using the latest and greatest in sales tools like Path and Opportunity Workspace to get the very most out of your Salesforce investment. And this is a great time to talk to your organization about Lightning. We've been on a journey since Lightning was launched last year, and this is our 4th Lightning release. And in this release, we've delivered over 500 features, both brand new features and some that you were familiar with from Classic. But we're not stopping yet. We continue to have a very exciting roadmap of features coming to Lightning in Spring 17. I am especially excited about my favorite new feature, which is Favorites. So, Jean-Baptiste, we have all of this amazing functionality available in Lightning and even more on the way. So how should our admins be preparing for Lightning at their organization?
Thanks, Leanne. Yeah, so we have been on a journey, as you said, from our launch last year. And the one-stop shop I'm going to describe today is a migration assistant. So that's a page that's available in Salesforce Classic, where you can find any resources to help you migrate to Lightning experience. So we launched that page a year ago, and we did actually multiple improvements. Since then, we launched a preview mode. So if you're not sure about Lightning, you are afraid of breaking things, with one click of a button, you can actually apply the Lightning experience skin to your current org. So great way to do demo to stakeholders, your execs, coworkers, or Salesforce champion within your company to have a quick overview of Lightning experience. In Spring 16, we actually added also the more control to be able to select which user can be pushed to Lightning. So great way to pilot, pick and choose user very quickly, enable Lightning for them and get feedback. So we're gonna show you a bit more on that as well. And last but not least, we launched last June the readiness check. So that's a one-click evaluation of your org to see what are the gaps with Lightning. So I'm going to show you how to find the tool, how to run it, and how actually to read that report that's going to help you migrate to Lightning experience. So let me go to my demo org. So I'm logged as an administrator, and everything that actually I'm going to show you, you need to be an admin within your org. So I'm going to go in Salesforce Setup. And you guys probably noticed we have a Lightning experience page available from the tree here. So I'm going to click on Lightning experience. And the page is called Migration Assistant. So as I said earlier, that's a one-stop shop for everything Lightning. And it's designed to guide you through the process to migrate to Lightning. So the first thing is actually a video to learn more about Lightning, learn about the migration. You can share that with people, with execs to get buy-in about the project. Then you have the evaluation phase. I'm going to go deeper in a minute around that topic. Then you can enable new features that are Lightning only. Great new features, as Leanne mentioned, that you can leverage and improve productivity for your teams. Then you can pick and choose your users who are going to be seeing Lightning, and Leanne going to show you how to actually do that through PermSet a bit later in our call. And finally, the main switch that's going to enable Lightning in your org. But let me go back to the evaluation, and especially the first link. The first link under Evaluate is actually the readiness check. So if I click on that button, I'm going to have a small pop-up asking me to authorize the readiness check to connect to your org. So I'm going to allow that app to connect. And I just received a success screen, as you can see. So that's basically it. So that's the amount of work that you need to do to assess your org readiness to Lightning. So it's not very complex, as you can see. And the message basically tells me I'm going to receive an email with the report attached to it. So I go to my email. And there it is. It usually takes a minute or two. And I have a nice PDF attached to that email. So I'm going to just do a quick preview and show you quickly. I'm not going to go in details. We have 12 sections. All are formatted the same way. We have the first, what we found in your org that are specifically not Lightning ready. Then we have the impact of each of those for your org. And finally, we have the recommendation on how to move forward. So I want to outline two things. The first thing is if it's not because it's outlined in the report that's actually a blocker for you, depending if you use that feature or not. The readiness check actually if the features is enabled, but not if people use it. So I'm going to go back later on the migration plan and strategy on how to make sure people use it, but keep that in mind. The second thing you will see in the report, we have sometimes links for each of those sections. You can actually click on those blue link and you will be directly directed in the object in setup. So a great way to actually quickly see what's there, how to fix it, super actionable, as you can see.
Awesome. Thank you, Jean-Baptiste. So let me go ahead and make myself the presenter. One moment. And we're going to talk about once you have this report and once you're ready to enable Lightning, what do we do next? We engage with our users. So we have our readiness report. We can evaluate how we're using Salesforce against Lightning features, and we're ready to begin working on our engaging rollout plan. Oops, excuse me. As admins, we're experts in our Salesforce environments. We know all of our standard and custom functionality and experience, so it makes sense that we want to bring that expertise to our Lightning rollout plan as well and build our admin expertise. So start with enabling Lightning for yourself today. Turn on Lightning first for yourself, become an expert in what your environment looks like in Lightning and how you want your record pages to look, your home pages to look. Get comfortable and familiar with your environment in Lightning. And then you can select your pilot group of users. Once you identify your ideal group of pilot users, which Jean-Baptiste will be going into at length, you can run a pilot, gather feedback, and insight from their adoption. You can follow this with rollouts to your groups and business units based on the feedback you collect from these pilot groups. So how do we do step one? How do you grant Lightning access to yourself and your users? First, take a look at who in your org has Lightning Experience permissions. This permission set is either on the profile or contained in a permission set. All standard profiles have the Lightning Experience permission checked by default, and you can uncheck or check this permission for permission sets or custom profiles. So once you've determined who has access to Lightning, then it's time to enable it for your organization. So once it's enabled, those users that do have the Lightning Experience permission will have the option to view your environment in the Lightning Experience, and they can always switch back to Classic with their user dropdown. So step 2 of our rollout is determining the right group of pilot users. Jean-Baptiste, what makes a good pilot group?
So I really like actually Lightning Experience, and the reason is that's a journey. So you're gonna start small, and you're gonna move at your own pace, and it can take a year maybe to migrate to Lightning. That's what we did actually at Salesforce, right? We started to launch our migration project with the launch of Lightning a year ago, and we are our last group migrating to Lightning last week. So that's gonna be the same for you guys. Lightning is really a journey. It's not all or nothing. Don't overthink the project. Don't make it over complicated. And I'm going to show you a quick strategy on how to migrate to Lightning that's going to be pretty painless. The first thing is pick your Salesforce champion within your company. So that's the guy who likes Salesforce, like changes, want to make the business better, always come up with new proposal. So that's the guy you want to have as probably the first test user for your Lightning experience. Have a quick meeting with them and enable Lightning for them. So you're going to have a 30-minute session to train them on how to use Lightning, show them the nice new features they could leverage, and ask them to do their job in Lightning for a week. That's as simple as that. There is no risk for them, no risk for you either. They can always switch back if they can't do anything that is like mission critical. Otherwise, just get feedback a week after. So put a meeting in their calendar for the following week, 1 hour, and ask for feedback. And the reason we do it that way is they're gonna come back to you with what's not working. So the key takeaway there is don't spend days or weeks of doing analysis of what you think might be an issue. Have the user come back to you with a list of things that are not working. So that's the best way to do priority management and to actually work on those roadblocks as they come. Once you get your feedback and you probably solve the gap that they have, and maybe they have actually no gap at all, you can expand to a few more people with the same department. And maybe you can roll out to that department. And then you continue. So that's what we did at Salesforce. We started a year ago with the R&D team. And we had our legal department. The last group actually was the legal department going to Salesforce Lightning experience. So it's really a journey, one-step process. And the good thing as well, if some of you have pretty old Salesforce implementation that have been used for many years and you have layers of complexity, try to do a Salesforce reboot as well. It's a great way while you migrate to Lightning to create new layout and remove the clutter you might have on some of those pages. Remove unused fields, remove unused triggers, inactive roles, and workflow assignment, and so on. So by removing those, actually, you will drive adoption as well. So it's really something that you can leverage to drive adoption and increase productivity for end users as well.
So let's take a look at how we can actually go through and enable Lightning for ourselves and get started with developing that expertise and defining that group of pilot users based on what we've built in Lightning and what we've built in Salesforce. So I'm here in my Salesforce environment, and this is classic setup, and I'm going to use permission sets to enable Lightning for just myself and use that same permission set later on for my pilot users. So I can go into administer permission sets, and this is really step 1 in turning on Lightning for yourself. So we're going to create a brand new one called Lightning Experience. And I'm not going to assign this to a specific license type because I do want the option to use this for future pilots and use this for other users. So once I've created this permission set Lightning Experience, I need to actually grant it the permission for Lightning. So I'm going to go into my system permissions.
Good morning.
And click Edit. So these are all of the system permissions you have the option to select for a permission set, but because this is a permission set just for Lightning Experience, I'm going to select just the Lightning Experience user option. And so what this does is grant access to Lightning Experience and that drop-down switcher once we enable it for the entire org. So I've created my permission set. Now it's time to determine who has access to it. I go into my Manage Assignments and add an assignment. Now I have myself, Anna Admin. I also have other users like Susie Smith. And I'm using custom profiles in this Salesforce environment. And those custom profiles, like Susie Smith has, do not have the Lightning Experience permission checked, which means that because she doesn't have Lightning Experience on her profile or the Lightning Experience permission set, when I enable Lightning, she will not have access to it. Now, if you're using standard profiles, it is important to note that standard profiles have Lightning Experience checked by default. So I've added this to my admin user because I want to turn on Lightning for myself. And now I'm going to go to Lightning Experience and enable it for my entire environment so that I can have access to it. This is that migration assistant that Jean-Baptiste showed. It can be found in Classic Setup at Lightning Experience. And this is where we have all of the permissions tied to Lightning, as well as all the educational items like Trailhead and our experience readiness check that we just saw. I'm going to enable my Lightning-related features like notes and news so I can get comfortable with those as well. I've already used profiles and permission sets to define who has access, so now I'm ready to turn it on. I'm going to say yes, finish enabling Lightning Assistant or Lightning Experience. And when I do that, my user now has access to that Switch to Lightning Experience option. So I can go ahead and switch to my Lightning Experience, and I can start to see what my production environment really looks like in Lightning and start to work on my record pages, my home pages, and customize it for myself. Now, if you do want to check and make sure that you didn't impact the experience of your end users, maybe those that you're not ready to move to Lightning quite yet, I can look at my end user, Susie Smith, and even though I've enabled Lightning for my org, I have not enabled Lightning for her yet. So her experience hasn't been changed at all. And Jean-Baptiste mentioned how important those metrics are and that adoption information is when we're working through those pilot groups. And coming soon, we're going to have a very cool tool to help us measure that adoption. We have the Lightning Adoption Metrics for Admins, which is coming in the next few months. And this tool gives us access to details like who has access to Lightning, who is staying in Lightning, who's using that switcher to go back to Classic. And this is something that is in pilot now for those of you who do want to check it out and share feedback with us. And it should be publicly available in the next few months. So we have lots of Lightning resources on Trailhead and on admin.salesforce.com. And these aren't just resources for admins. So as you're working with your users and as you're identifying those pilot programs, help your users be successful by directing them to Trailhead modules that are for business users on Lightning. Trailhead modules like Sell Lightning Fast with Salesforce. You can also bring this to your developers as well as you're working with your entire organization to help them develop their expertise with Lightning, and you're really leading internally in your organization to bring Lightning to your company. And this is a great time for admins to learn about Lightning because we are starting our first ever Admin Lightning Challenge today. So visit admin.salesforce.com/Lightning Challenge to learn more about how you can complete short daily challenges in Lightning over the next 10 days. Share with your awesome admin community on social, and of course, collect swag. So let's take a look at what sort of questions we've gotten so far from our success group and take some live. One moment, I'm just pulling up our questions here. And again, throughout the webinar, even if we don't get to your question on this specific live Q&A, please continue to ask those questions and we will work on getting to those. My trusty admin team, I seem to be having trouble pulling up the Q&A doc and pulling up our group. Could you share some of our questions that we've gotten so far?
One of the questions we have, Kavitha was wondering if we could go through the steps again of how to find that Lightning evaluation when you're navigating from setup.
Okay, that's a great question. So in classic setup, just go to setup, and on the top left of your classic of your setup panel there in your admin setup screen, you'll see a Lightning experience at the very top. If you click on that, all of those Lightning related learning paths, the Lightning evaluation, and the Lightning enablement buttons are there. So that's the best place to find both the Trailhead modules as well as the evaluation link, which is then emailed to you, and also to enable Lightning for your users. So that's a great question.
We also have a short link on the slide for the readiness check. So if you don't know the presentation, you will see the URL. It's called sfdc.co/lightning check with uppercase L, uppercase C, and it will direct you to the migration assistant.
So one question that I also see is it possible to keep Classic for everyone except bring one person to Lightning? So if you are using custom profiles, then you can turn on Lightning just for one person, and for now, make Lightning not available yet for those users you're not ready to. But also, even if you are using standard profiles and you turn on Lightning, those users always have that, they still have that option to switch back and forth between Lightning and Classic. So turning on Lightning doesn't have to bring everyone to Lightning Experience yet. It just gives them all that option in that user dropdown under their username in the top right of their Salesforce.
So we had a question about the preview mode. Can I use a preview mode when logged as a different user from Kathleen? Short answer is no. You need to be an admin. So go to the Migration Assistant, click Preview as an admin, and you will be able to see the org with the Lightning skin. The reason is we do something in the backend to allow you to have that preview with Lightning Experience without that, and you need admin permission for that. So if you want to do a bit more and promote some users to Lightning, do through a perm set, do through a pilot program. You have the option to select users in the Migration Assistant as well. And as we said earlier, there is no risk, right? They have always a switch back to Classic Experience if they are hitting a gap and they can't do their job.
So Jean-Baptiste, one question I see is elaborating on the reboot you referred to as part of a pilot plan and as part of your Lightning rollout. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, so that's for customers that have a pretty old implementation. Now, if I look at Salesforce, I'm going to take the Salesforce example. So if you look at Lightning Experience, JavaScript buttons, for example, are not supported anymore, right? And if you have a 17 years old implementation, such as ours at Salesforce, you might have layers of customization and admins creating buttons every single year, and you end up with 1,500 buttons, like we did at some point. Are those all used? Well, probably not. So if you want to migrate all those 1,500 buttons, you're going to waste a lot of time and energy for actually things that are not used. So the strategy we gave earlier is really to pick users one by one, ask for feedback, and they're going to tell you if a button is not working or missing. So when we say do a reboot in that sense. Try to remap or redo business process in Salesforce the way they are right now. At Salesforce in 17 years, things have changed. So it's a great way to simplify things, removing unused fields. If you have inactive rules on your pages objects, you can do that as well. And when you migrate to Lightning, one of the strategy as well is to create new page layout for your users and your pilot groups, right? So what you can do is like to start super simple with bare bone implementation, with what you know is like super mandatory, and go from there. And then you're gonna have people and end users asking you to add a few things in there, and just add those along the way. Don't start by recreating everything. Start with what we call MVP, minimum viable product, in mind, and go from there. Add features as you go.
Thank you. So another question we got, after you've enabled Lightning for yourself, and we can expand this to say maybe enabled for yourself and pilot users, will changes that you make in Lightning impact Classic?
So short answer is yes. So everything, so even if in preview, so if you actually click preview and you start changing configuration, the database in the back is the same. So Lightning Experience is really a new UI. We added new features that are Lightning only and available as part of our release, but it's mostly a new interface, and the backend that you have is the same. So if you change stuff in the backend, that's going to be changed for Classic and also Lightning Experience. So the same object. So if you change the way that your workflow rules is triggered, that's going to be the same for Classic and Lightning Experience.
So one question I got, can you show us the permission set parts again? So the permission sets demo that I did actually can now be found on the challenge website. So sneak peek, that's day one challenge. So if you go to admin.salesforce.com/lightning challenge, we'll actually have the step-by-step of how to enable for yourself with permission sets available for you there.
So we have another question on what's the difference between enable user in Migration Assistant and permission sets. So if you are enterprise, basically you can pick and choose the way you want to manage. Migration Assistant, it's a great way to do it very quickly and select your user, and with one click of a button, you're going to apply Lightning for them. If you just have standard profile, though, that's the way to go because you don't have perm set available to you. So that's the only way you can actually pick and choose the users that are going to be enabled for Lightning.
So I do have a question about, can these steps be done in a sandbox? So can we go through enabling Lightning and going through those setup steps? Is that something that our admins can go through this process and practice in a sandbox?
So everything that we showed today can be done in a sandbox. The only small caveat is running the readiness check. So readiness check, look at your configuration for that specific org. So if your sandbox is slightly different, you might have things coming from the report in your sandbox slightly different. And there is no risk of running the readiness check in production. So you might want to start with your sandbox, but don't skip the step of running that in production because you might have slight difference between those two environments. Everything else can be in the sandbox.
Right, and clicking, just to confirm, clicking that evaluate button in your production setup where you're sending that readiness check to you, that step that Jean-Baptiste went through, that has no risk or impact on your customizations or your Salesforce. It's not enabling anything. It's simply looking at your Salesforce customizations and returning information to you. Correct, John?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we just do read-only. We look at metadata and configuration. We don't change anything on your behalf.
Awesome. Well, it looks like we are finished with questions. We've run out of time. Again, we'll be going through on the Salesforce Admins webinar group and going through questions and answering them. So please, if we haven't gotten to your question yet, we will do our very best to do so. And thank you so much, Jean-Baptiste, for being here and sharing your expertise in Lightning and Lightning readiness. And thank you, all of you awesome admins, for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you.